Boy, you guys are not ready for what's going to happen in this first volume. But yeah, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and this is Kick-Ass. For those of you who are confused, go check out my first video, because this is not the Kick-Ass you know. This is not Dave. This is Patience, and she is not patient at all. I'm going to explain why, but before I do, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Now, let us begin, because Patient is robbing a drug dealer. As she strapped him down, he laughed. What do you think you're doing? Do you think you can rip us off and survive? Impossible. She told him, shut up, stuffing his mouth full of newspapers because she still had business to take care of. She had to secure her exit. No doubt in her mind, she was sure the big man in the hallway heard the commotion, and she was right. He came to check on his buddies, and when he got to the room, he saw all of them knocked out. Patience was beside the door, and she was armed with a taser, because in real life, it's very hard to knock people out, make the wrong move, and they die. So she did the next best thing and stunned him and walked out. Like, legit, she walked out with a bag. Shorty had 40 racks in that bag, and people were saying, wow, are you just coming from a party? And she was like, yeah, playing it cool. She made sure not to speed up or go too slow. She kept her pace. Things were going way too smooth. She didn't want to fuck up the night. She borrowed someone's car without them knowing. So as she returned it, she made sure to leave them proper bread in it. She was excited, but she had to play it cool. Don't speed. Don't make any cop look at you suspicious. Just go home. And she did, honestly, on her way home, calculating how much she was going to use for her family, pay off her debt, and give the rest to charity. She was feeling good. As soon as she got home and she unloaded the bread, she thanked God Almighty in heaven. She didn't think it would be this easy. So she decided to flex a bit. She took her family out to dinner. Even her mother was like, baby girl, you're broke. This is uncalled for. I mean, thank you. I love ice cream, but still, this is a risk. You have a lot of debt to pay. But Shorty was like, nah, my work is paying me well. Don't worry about it. Have fun. Fuck my husband. Life was good. College was good. And she had a good cover story for the money by working extra shifts. But then it hit her. The money is about to finish. I mean, money ain't eternal, especially not no 40 grand. And all these living a double life, taking extra shifts was starting to weigh on her. She was sleeping during class. At that moment, there and then, she decided, man, fuck this. I'm going to rob the criminals of this city. And this is a promise. Because in all honesty, she wasn't thinking about just herself. She had family. She had people to feed. So this was necessary. But the thing is, people were starting to notice, especially the group she robbed earlier. It should come as no surprise. The people she robbed, she had connections to. It was her brother-in-law's people, and it was crazy because he knew they couldn't call the cops. It was dirty drug money. So they just had to pay it back, and the loan was going to be insane. But his organization wasn't as stupid as she thought. They doubled up security. She handled the casing of the joint really well. Her experience in the field had given her experience in blending to the background. She was good. Finding the stash house was easy work. But then she saw the person charged with protecting the bread. He wasn't no normal thug. She had made up her mind to find out more about him. But then, from nowhere, a little kid comes up to her and says, are you a cop? She was flustered. Why? And he replied, I've seen you here 3 nights in a row. She didn't want to think much of it, so she just told him run off, and she drove away. Doing her research, she found out more about the biker. He was ex-military. She knew the days he was going to come true, and she knew he knew how to use his hands. So her job was simple. Find a way to stop him from using his hands. After days of planning, it was time. She was ready, parked out front, and then all of a sudden that same kid comes through and says, I knew you were a cop. She told him to fuck off, but he said he had nowhere to go. His mom's ex-boyfriend was at home, and he doesn't like him in the house. Confused, she asked him, what of your mom? What does she think? He said, my mom had nothing to say, or else she'll get slapped again. She was shocked. He hits her? He said, bruh, he hits me. He breaks my bones if my mother doesn't listen. As soon as she heard this, she made a mental note, but now she had a mission to do. So she drove off, making sure to not be seen behind the biker. And when she got the chance, she sped up and parked in front of him. As soon as she saw the distance, she hit the brakes hard, causing him to crash straight through her. Her plan was working perfectly again. She thought to herself, yes, he won't be able to use his hands. He fell down hard. She tried to wear her mask, but he was quick. He was right next to her with his gun ready. He blasted some shells in, and she was quick to duck. How the fuck did he get right next to me? She opened the door, slamming it straight through his chest, and he was on the ground. She didn't have no brass knuckles, so handcuffs will do. She hit him hard, over and over again, but this guy was a monster. He grabbed a hold of her neck, and he didn't let go. So she pulled out the taser, but that didn't work. Matter of fact, this seemed to give him life. He was a monster, and she knew it. She had to act quickly. So using the taser, she aimed for his head and shocked him to sleep. With this, her plan succeeded, but she had other things to do tonight. She had an abuser to take care of. So she hopped in a whip. The little boy was easy enough to track. As soon as she got to the house, she pressed the bell, and surprisingly, the ex-boyfriend was there to open the door. He asked, "Who the fuck are you?" And she simply said, "Backyard, 2 minutes. Come, I don't want to break this woman's house." He was confused, but that was an outright challenge. He couldn't just shrug it off. He pushed his ex out of the way and went to the backyard where she stood waiting. He said, "I don't know who you are, but you need to leave before I break you in half." She found this funny. "I need to leave. You're the one squatting here without consent." Shocked to hear this, he thought she was a social worker, but she shook him to reality instantly by shattering his nose. He couldn't even believe what just happened. He was a big dude, and she was small, but she wasn't done. Kicking him in his chest and rocking his world with her fist. She was tough, but she knew his kind. You don't just beat them down, you have to break them. So she punched him again and again and again for the family to watch. And she still wasn't done, telling him, "I heard you emphasize a threat by breaking bone. So tonight, I'm breaking your whole arm, and I need you to listen while I do it." He begged, but she didn't give a damn. She shattered that arm quickly and told him, "Get your shit with your one good arm and leave this place. And I'm not even playing. If you look at them different, I will be back and I will break your neck. I promise you." Understood? He said yes. She looked back at the family and smiled. And he asked her, "Why do you even care?" This was even funnier than she realized. She never expected to say this, but she simply said, "I'm a superhero, dude," while jumping the fence. As she landed feeling confident, she said, "I care about everyone." As she walked into the night, patience was the shit, honestly. But the thing about it is, she isn't prepared for what comes next. And what comes next will scare even you.